Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited that I get to be here with you guys today. My name is Paola, and hello. And today I'm going to be talking about the embodiment of transformation. So the reason why I'm going to talk about this today is because I myself have had a pretty big, significant transformation, and it's just continued and continued and continued to transform from there. And I want to share this with you because this is something that we all experience, and it's a cycle that will continue so long as we're human, because we're imperfect and we're ever evolving and growing. So I want to start off by doing let's see if this works. I don't know. Do I point somewhere? Do you know? Okay, whatever. Let's see if this works. I don't know.
Let me see here.
There we go.
You
What?
just step on this.
I did that. I don't know, guys. It's got the magic touch.
Hold it for like a second or something.
Okay. So I want to start off by doing a visualization exercise. And I want to do this before we get into the rest of the presentation, because I want you to have this in mind as we go through the presentation so that you can see how it relates to you in your life. So, do you guys hear anything?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. 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 So I want everyone to take a moment, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. Hold it. Now take another deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. Now I want you to think of a challenge that you're facing in your life right now. Maybe it's a skill you want to master. Or maybe it's a habit that you want to change. Or maybe you just simply want to grow closer to your most authentic self. Now I want you to ask yourself, why haven't I overcome this yet? Are there any self-doubts, limiting beliefs, feelings of unworthiness that arise? Think about what those are without judgment. Just notice them. Now I want you to imagine what it would feel like to transcend and overcome this challenge. Now, when you feel ready, come back to the present moment and open your eyes. Okay. Thank you for being here with me and going through that in your mind. And now I want you to keep that in mind throughout this presentation and see if something sparks in you. Oh my God. Where? Here? The computer? Oh my God. Wait, let me see. Oh wait, I can go right here. I can just boop. There we go. Okay, so this is me. This is me in 2021. And even though these photos are sort of a fitness, physical transformation, I want you to pay attention to the energy behind my essence in these photos. Because even though it is visible that there is a transformation, it is possible for me to look like this and be perfectly happy and at peace and be my authentic self, and for this to be my most miserable self. So let me just say that. But in 2021, I was feeling very, very depressed. I was lost, and I didn't really know how to cope at all. And so I would just eat whenever I was feeling negative feelings. And, you know, this is what resulted from that. And, you know, 2025, this is me. And even though my body looks different, the biggest transformation that I've had has all come internally. So today we're going to talk about the 7 stages of transformation. And I'm sure you all recognize these. And while we go through this presentation, I want you to think of what stage you are currently in with this challenge that you're facing. Try to think about that. So the first one, we have autopilot. Second, awareness. Third, desire for change. Fourth, commitment. Fifth, reprogram. 6, identity shift. 7, transformation. So the first one that we have is autopilot. And this is the one that I think is where a lot of people are today. And it may not be complete for everything in your life. You may be on autopilot for certain things in your life and not others. You may be aware of certain traumas that you have in a specific area of your life, but maybe not be fully conscious of how you have been or are on autopilot in other areas of your life. So here, I say you might as well just be an NPC at this point. Unaware of anything that you're doing, and you're just kind of like going with the crowd, what everybody else is doing without much thought. And in my opinion, this is one of the most I don't want to say dangerous, that has a very negative connotation, but this is one of the most, this is a stage that personally I wouldn't want to be in, because if I'm not conscious of these negative patterns, then how can I change them? And this is when you're manifesting based on your emotions. You're not even manifesting consciously, because we're always manifesting. But here, you know, you're subject to the randomness, the energy of the world, especially if you're like a projector or a reflector and susceptible to other people's energies. This is a place you don't want to be, because you want to have your own sovereignty over your decisions and your actions. So my life became a series of reactions to my emotions. And I didn't know how to cope. And so I coped in all the wrong ways. In this photo, I was working. So just to paint a picture, I was a leasing agent in Utah. It was a job that just came to me. You know, I was renting apartments. I had just dropped out of college. I was studying vocal performance, singing, and I dropped out and just got the job that was in front of me, and I did that. And like I said, I was binge eating to cope with my emotions. And this photo, the story behind this photo, I don't even know why I took this, but I was at my job as a leasing agent, and we were eating, and I would just continue eating and eating. We finish our meal, and I would eat a dessert, and I would eat some chips, and I would eat whatever. And my boss told me, wow, you just keep like eating and eating. Like I don't know where you put it. And I was like deeply offended by that, because obviously I have this coping mechanism that I know is not good for me. And so I literally just went to one of the closets of the model apartment and cried. And yeah, so at this point, my routine was wake up 15 minutes before I had to leave to work. Then I would brush my teeth, put on some clothes, didn't even do my hair or makeup, nothing. But it was out of lack of self-love, not because I loved myself like that. And I would go to work, eat chips for breakfast from work, and eat whatever everyone else was having, takeout from somewhere. And then I would get home, go into a drive-through of whatever fast food restaurant was near my place. That was either Wendy's or Burger King, and I would just switch between those. Then afterwards, I would go to the grocery store, grab a pack of sugar cookies, and eat almost the whole 10-pack of these sugar cookies by myself, and go to bed. And that was my life, over and over and over again. So then this leads to stage 2, which is awareness. And this is where you become conscious of your patterns, but that doesn't necessarily mean you do anything about it. You just know, like I knew I was binge eating, and I knew that that was a problem. But I was just kind of stuck there. So at this point, you do start making judgment on those patterns and being like, is this good for me? Or you might not. So you could go either way with this. But ultimately, I love this little meme. The therapist says, can you think of anyone who is a negative influence in your life who's causing you to feel this way? And then says me. Well, of course I know it's him. He's me. Because at the end of the day, we all have a responsibility and take accountability for what is reflecting around us, because it's all a reflection of our choices and how we feel. So at this point, I had someone tell me someone who had, their insecurities with their own weight loss journey, and they said about themselves, they said, if it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And this was a guy, he told me, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to the gym. And I was like, oh wow, like you go to the gym, like cool. And he told me this, if it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And that echoes in my mind to this day, not in application to my life right now, but because of how significant that sentence was in my life in that moment. And this photo, I specifically remember thinking, if it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And I can't possibly imagine feeling any worse than I feel right now. So, once I looked at myself in the mirror and realized that I can't feel worse than this. I won't allow myself to, and I don't even know who this person is that I'm seeing in my reflection. And the next stage is desire for change. You become conscious of your patterns and you want to do something about it. So this is the most pivotal stage because this is where most people get stuck. They want to change, but they don't know how. They're stuck, they're lost, they're like, oh, I have this goal, New Year's resolutions, like I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna work out 5 times a week, I'm gonna eat healthy, and then January, first week comes, do it for a week, second week comes, go do it a little less, oh, it's okay, Third week comes, completely abandon your goals. And that happens for so many people. And the reason for that is because of limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and I think the strongest reason is feelings of unworthiness. And I just want I'm telling myself this, you have always been worthy. You are inherently worthy. So, part of this stage, desire for change, and I'm spending a little bit more time on this stage because this is where most people get stuck. And part of that is you have self-doubt, you feel like you can't do it, you feel like you can't overcome it. But if we would just see someone else that we can relate to that is in our position and they did it, it's like, okay, if they did it, I can do it too. It's like the 4-minute mile. When Roger Bannister in 1956, he was a medical student, he decided that it's in the power of the mind, not in the body. And so he trained for it, and he was the first person to run a mile in under 4 minutes. It was 3 minutes and 59 seconds. And what's crazy about this is that before this happened, everybody thought that if you were to run a mile under 4 minutes, your heart would literally combust. So no one even tried because that was their belief. But when Roger ran the 4-minute mile, just a month and a half later, someone else did too. And months later, a dozen people had done it. So that is the power of seeking inspiration, seeking stories of other people that have done it, and it helps strengthen your belief that you can do it too. And the more that you can relate to that person, the better. So here's a little story time about our beloved friend, Sir Robert Edward Grant. And as it's no secret, we know he has had a significant transformation. This man is aging backwards now. But I want to tell you guys a story because I have personally never heard of this story from Robert until we had dinner one of these nights. And I am just so curious to hear the thought process behind how people think and make decisions, especially from someone that has created success for themselves. And I asked Robert, I was straight up. So he asked us, where did you guys study? And I told him, well, I didn't finish. And then asked him in return, where did you study? He said, oh, he studied in BYU in Utah, which is funny because I also quit school in Utah and had this whole leasing agent job, everything in Utah. And he told us the story about how he got to where he is now, but the early stages. Have you guys heard of his story? No? Okay, I'm so excited to tell you because it's freaking cool. So Robert but he converted to LDS Mormon at a young age. So he ended up serving a mission. So they go on a 2-year mission trip somewhere around the world to help convert people to the LDS religion. And what is amazing about this is it teaches you how to face rejection. And it teaches you that you don't take no for the first time. You have to have 7 touch points with that person in order for them to trust you. And what I have gathered from this is that this has taught Robert resilience. I mean, he can speak for himself, but in my perception, it taught him resilience and also confidence to go door to door, not just to sell solar panels, but to convert someone into another religious belief is a pretty bold thing to do and gives you definitely thick skin. So he had no money. He had to pay for it all himself. And when he came back from the mission, he came to college at BYU, and he didn't have money for really anything. So he was like, I have to get a job. So what Robert ended up doing, not just like any old person who went and applied for a normal job. Robert took notice that at his school, they had one of the best basketball teams, huge stadium, 30,000 people could fit into the stadium, and they couldn't fill the seats. And so he went to the school and he proposed, hey, I can get your seats filled, and I propose you just pay me minimum wage, which at the time was $5 an hour, but I want 20% of the revenue.
Hell yeah.
Yes. So they said, okay, sure. They have nothing to lose. And so he hired his friends who had also been missionaries, have very strong sales techniques. And so he outsourced that to his friends, hired them, and made $60K within a few months. Are you kidding me? Literally my thought, which would be so much more now. I think we did the math. How much is $60K now? I don't know, 100, 110, 120, don't quote me on that, I don't know. But the thought that was going through my head is, who would think to do this? Would you, okay, be honest. Would any of you in this situation think to do this? No one's raising their hand, guys. So I wouldn't either. So I was so amazed, and I said, what gave you the confidence to do this? And I was like, do you even have any sense of self-doubt? Have you ever? Because obviously now it's kind of yeah, duh, you don't have self-doubt. But have you ever had any sense of self-doubt? And he said, no, I haven't. And I realized in that moment, that's what it freaking takes. It takes to have the courage to just do it. Because just after this, he spoke Korean because he served his mission in South Korea. And the author of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, what's his name? Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey. So he applied to work with Stephen Covey to translate that book to a whole group of entrepreneurs in Korean. And in Utah, so many people speak so many different languages because they go on different mission trips. But what set him apart was the fact that he did this for the school. And he has that business mindset and was able to get tangible results. Long story short, from that opportunity, he was chosen to translate that book to a whole crowd of entrepreneurs. That is when he had the courage to pitch to an entrepreneur saying, hey, you sell Sony product, was it Sony or Samsung? So you sell Samsung products. I know that in Latin America, they only sell Sony, but Samsung is better quality and it's cheaper. Why don't I help you expand your market to Latin America? Literally, who says that? Who does that? I don't even know. And it just was mind-blowing that he had the courage to do that. And I'm just thinking, if I was in that position, I would be like doubting myself. I'd be like, oh, but like, how would I roll this out? Like, I don't even know how to start a company. I've never done it before. Like, how am I gonna do this? Whatever. All of these self-limiting beliefs, self-doubts would pop into my head. And that's how he sold his first company. That was his first company, and he sold it at age 24 for $20 million. Are you kidding me? Crazy. So I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I was very nervous for this presentation. I was like having I was having imposter syndrome. I was like, what am I even doing here? Like, why does Robert want me to present on something? Like, I don't even know. I was like, these people are so advanced. Like, what could I possibly share that will add value to their lives? And then I heard this story from Robert at dinner, and I was like, what the Paola? Like, if Robert has the courage to go after opportunities, initiate them, execute them, succeed at them, because he has no self-doubt, what are you doing here, doubting yourself for an opportunity that came to you out of nowhere? And the very man that has done all these things has put this into your hands, and it must be for some reason. And I just told myself, and I recommend this strategy. I talk to myself a lot, and I talk to myself like I'm my own best friend. And I say, Paola, I don't know why you have this self-doubt, but you are incredible. You have so much value to share. You have infectious energy, and you've gone through quite an amazing journey to get here. Just look at yourself where you were a year ago. You would have never imagined that you would be here. And that's how I talk to myself. And ever since then, I heard his story, I talked to myself, and I'm not nervous right now. I'm not. So that's the power of the 4-minute mile. You see someone that has done something that you want to do, or even greater than what you want to do, and it gives you the confidence. And that is the power of embodying your full authenticity, because when you are just being authentic, you don't have to teach anything. You just are, and people feel inspired, and that spreads like wildfire. Okay, so this next stage, that was the hardest stage to get through, the previous one. So once you feel worthy, you're confident, or even if you're not confident, you do it anyways, then you get to commitment. And this is when you actually commit to choosing a new path. Because sometimes, let's say we'll set up our New Year's resolutions, and we say, oh, I want to do this, but you don't really plan how you're gonna do it. And like Ben Franklin says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So planning is a part of that commitment, because if I didn't tell myself, okay, Paola, you are going to go, at the time I was doing CrossFit, I was gonna say, Paola, I know that you feel intimidated by counting calories, and you know that that's how you lose weight, right? Calorie deficit. Okay, you feel overwhelmed by that idea, you don't think it's gonna be healthy for you, that's fine. How about instead, you just try to eat more whole foods and you work out twice a day. And so that's what I did. I did CrossFit in the morning at 6 a.m. and after work at 6 p.m. And if I had not made that commitment to do that and had that plan in my mind of like, okay, where in my life am I gonna fit this? I don't know if I would have been able to, because I had tried that whole year. This happened my transformation started in September of 2021, and since January, those New Year's resolutions, I signed up for CrossFit, but I was not going consistently, and my diet was how I explained. So it wasn't until I committed and made the plan to do this that I actually followed through. Oh, really important. This commitment often is followed by a very strong why. Why do you want to do this? Why is this important to you? And at this point, I had started learning more about fitness and nutrition, and it was no longer about how my body looked, because I don't think that was strong enough. It was a strong impulse, but it wasn't enough to keep the ball rolling. It wasn't until I learned about diet, exercise, and how that actually impacts your health in the future and how certain foods can prevent diseases. And I listened to this book, it's called How Not to Die by Michael Greger. And it is a book based on science, and it's a lot of research. Heavy to get through, maybe not if you read Robert's work, but it's a lot of research. And I was like, wow, instead of choosing even pineapple mango, strawberry, or pineapple mango, I was like, let me go for the berries, the blackberries, the blueberries, because those are better for you. I was making choices because I understood the benefits, and I could see junk food at my work now and not even be tempted, because I knew that wasn't the path I wanted to go on. Okay. So I want to ask you guys, and you can just shout them out. Have you ever made a strong commitment to something that you said, no matter how hard it is, how hard it gets, or how it gets done, I don't even know, but I'm gonna freaking do it? Has anyone ever done that? Would anyone like to share, briefly, something that they committed to and overcame?
Ascension.
Sorry?
Ascension.
Ascension, I love it. Anyone else? Yes.
Back problems. I had a chronic bad back, and I was an avid outdoors person, and I just would not. I kept seeking and go no matter what. And now I can backpack, I can move furniture, I can do anything, because I was so determined, even though they said I need to have my vertebrae fused and that I didn't even know how I was walking, and it was all bullshit.
Wow, amazing. Yay, that deserves an applause.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing. Okay. All right, so this was my moment of commitment. Long story short, I went back home to Puerto Rico with my friends from high school, and we went to the beach. I hadn't gone to the beach in a very long time. And I bought a new bathing suit because no bathing suits would fit me. And back in high school, I was very lean. I was a dancer, and so I was always active, always doing things. And so I had looked very, very different from the last time that I saw them. And they weren't really like my friends. They were just the people that you hung out with in high school, And I felt such a sense of shame and embarrassment with them because of how I felt I had let myself go. I felt like I wasn't in a place, like I dropped out of school. I'm like at a job where I'm like, I don't even know if I want a career in this. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not happy. And so I took this photo. I'm really tan here because I came back from the beach. But this photo was my moment of commitment because I don't know how it happened. It must have been a download, must have been my guides. The question that popped into my head was, what does my future self look like? And that's a question I had never asked myself before. I don't even know why I asked myself that. But the question was, what does my future self look like? And I asked myself this, and I journaled on this question, and I found myself getting really excited. I was like, wow, like that's what my future self looks like? Well, that's so fun. And it gave me hope, because when you are struggling through some times, especially if you have depression, it's really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But if you can just have one thing that gives you hope to keep going through that path, it can absolutely change everything. And this question changed everything for me. So that brings us to stage 5, which is reprogramming. You all know, change your thoughts, you change your life. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot. I kind of paraphrased it, but it's when you get new information, you produce new thoughts, which those thoughts produce new feelings. Those feelings produce new behaviors, which produce new beliefs, a new identity, and a new life. So what I did in this period, when I committed, I said, I'm gonna learn as much as I possibly can about health, fitness, nutrition, because I wanna be well equipped for this. And maybe I subconsciously knew that if I wanted to be a healthy person, I needed to act like a healthy person. And to act like a healthy person, I need to know what that even looks like. I didn't even know what was good for me. So what I did is I got onto YouTube, how to lose weight. And this is also part of the 4-minute mile metaphor, that if you see somebody doing something that you see yourself in their position, you see that they accomplished the goal you want to accomplish, it raises your belief, your self-belief. But I was also learning. I was reading books about nutrition. Like I said, How Not to Die. I was reading this book called Gut, and even just on YouTube videos, learning how calorie deficit works, and muscle building, and what does weight training do to your body versus cardio. And you have to have that information. If you want to embody, like if I wanted to become a mathematician, how am I gonna do that if I don't know math? Or let me use a different example. If I want to be an entrepreneur, how am I gonna be an entrepreneur if I don't know how a business works? If I don't know how to build a startup, if I don't know how to create funnels, if I don't know how to create value that people will buy, if I don't know what copy I should use for marketing that is psychologically activating to get people to buy, how am I gonna do that if I don't even know this? It's like you don't know what you don't know. So whatever it is that you wanna move towards, like recently, I really wanna activate my psychic gifts, whatever that is. And so I'm learning about that, how to activate them, what exactly are they, and how can I unlock that for myself? So think of these things for your own situation. Have you been learning and gaining information about whatever it is that you want to embody in that future, new, most authentic version of you? So part of this stage of reprogramming includes a lot of how you speak. because your words have so much power that they are literally like casting spells. So, I'm sorry, Gabe, I'm gonna put you on the spot. When Gabe says, oh, this account is cursed, like for social media, if it doesn't have engagement, he's like, oh, this account is cursed. I'm like, bro, you're cursing your account. Like, that's how it works. And once I realized this and started paying attention to how I speak, so many things have happened, have changed in my life. Me and Emilio, we have decided, because I am working on my abundance mindset, and we decided we're not gonna say expensive or cheap. We're gonna say it's an investment or it's accessible. Or we're gonna say, like, for example, one that I'm working through right now is like, instead of saying like, I can't afford it, it's like, how can I afford it? Instead of I can't. Or also, every time I put my car down to pay for anything, I used to get this huge tension whenever I would pay for anything. Doesn't matter how much money I had in my account, doesn't matter the cost of the item, doesn't matter if it's just groceries, doesn't matter. I would feel this tension and just feelings of lack when I would pay for anything. So I told myself, every time I put my car down for anything, I'm gonna say, this is a little spell that I got from this girl called Maddie Webb. And it says, I love spending money because every time I do, it keeps on coming back to me and 10 times more too. Yeah. And that has helped me so much. And then I look at the price, because I used to be like, oh, I don't even want to look at the price. I look at the price and I multiply it times 10 and I pretend I just made that amount of money. And I'm like, yay, like in my head. I'm like, so it changes the energy. Now instead of being in lack, now I'm in abundance. And, oh, I didn't even talk about this. Wow. Okay, so Dr. Masaru Emoto in Japan in the late 1900s, late 90s, and early 2000s, he did this experiment on water. He wanted to test if human intention would change the structure of water molecules. And so what he did is he would say words to the water molecule. So he would say, thank you, wisdom, truth, eternal, etc., and just see what shape they took under a microscope. And as you can see, the ones that have a positive intention have a lot of coherence, they're symmetrical, they're beautiful, versus the ones that have a negative intention, you fool, you make me sick, evil, those are disorderly, and they do not have a beautiful pattern. And as you know, we are mostly made up of water. And so if you are speaking negatively to yourself, this is what's happening inside your body, creating discoherence. And what does that do to your energy field? And how does that affect you in day-to-day life? So I already talked about this. I'm short on time. I'm going to skip it. So stage 6, identity shift. If you want to create a new life, overcome an obstacle, you have to literally embody a new identity. One of my favorite things that Dr. Joe Dispenza says as an example of this is he was at a retreat, he was hosting a retreat. He had someone come up to him and say, if manifestation is real, then why am I not in my vacation home in Cabo? And Dr. Joe says, because the person who is living in their vacation home in Cabo would not be sitting here asking me, why don't I have my vacation home in Cabo? And that just blew my mind, because a lot of times when we try to manifest, create something new, we say, well, I want this, but why don't I have it yet? I thought I'm doing my affirmations, I'm practicing gratitude, but if you're still in that energy of why don't I have it yet? you're always going to be in the energy of why don't I have it yet? And it's always going to be somewhere out of reach. Oh, this is so funny. So you have to learn to let go of your old life to embody a new one. The universe has to make space for the new life you are asking for. You cannot be and have a new life without letting go of the things that have kept you in the past. And if you're trying to hold on to that relationship, if you're trying to hold on to that job, if you're trying to hold on to the comfort of your hometown, how are you going to evolve if the universe is quite literally saying, here, let me take all this that's not serving you? And you try to hold on for dear life, like, oh no, I don't want to. But it's absolutely necessary. So I want you to also think, what am I now not letting go of that is keeping me in the past? And then I'm going to play this really quick because this is super funny. When you start manifesting a new life and your old one starts to go up in flames. You guys, I looked for this for like an hour because I saw it like a year or two ago and I thought it was just so funny and so relatable. So the last stage is transformation, and you've embodied a new identity, a new life, a higher frequency. You did it. Yay! But the cycle repeats. And even though you are transformed, all of you, I know for a fact, you would not be here if you hadn't gone through this cycle like 20 times. But like I said, it will keep repeating and repeating in different areas of your life because we're ever evolving humans. Did you guys identify which stage you're in, by the way? Yes? Yeah? Okay. I want you to turn to the person next to you, and I want you to tell them what stage you're in. And you can share about what if you want to. Okay, so if we can start wrapping up our conversations. I don't want to make Eden mad that we're running late. And for this portion, I really want us to do this journal reflection. I'm going to give you guys a short time to do this. So if you could bring out your journals or your notes app or just the piece of paper that I gave you. If you need a paper, raise your hand and I can give you one. Okay. But you're not going to have all the time right now to do this. So I urge you to finish this up in your own time. But if you can go ahead and answer these prompts. And if you need a piece of paper, raise your hand and I'll come bring one. Does anyone need? Yes, you can do it on your phone. Anyone need? gonna give you guys 1 more minute. Okay, start wrapping up. Okay. So the question that is particularly important is this last one. What action can I take today for the next 30 days to become closer to my highest and most authentic self? Doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be a small thing. It could be reading a page of a book that I want to evolve in every day for 30 days. It can be I want to meditate for 30 minutes every day for the next 30 days. But this is really important. Like I said, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So this is why I really want you to have this in mind. And so I want you to plan when you're gonna implement this into your life, like how I implemented CrossFit. I'm gonna go in the morning and at night after work, and plan it into your schedule. Because if you don't, it's gonna be really hard for you to make it into a habit. So that's why I want you to think about this. And because we're short on time, we're gonna skip telling the person next to us. You can definitely do that after we're done though. And we're just gonna go ahead into this last time. I know, it's you. Okay, and so for this, I want to do a visualization exercise just to close everything off and kind of come full circle from the visualization exercise we did this at the beginning. So if you'll set, anything that you have on your lap, set it down, get into a comfortable position, and close your eyes. We're gonna start with deep breaths again. So take a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. And again, take a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. And one last one. Take a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out. Now, I want you to think of this challenge. Well, now I want you to think of a time in your life where you overcame a challenge and you went through this cycle and you transformed. And I want you to think of, as your energy has shifted, how your life has shifted as well. Now take a moment and feel gratitude for that version of you. And think of how proud you are of them. Because without them, you wouldn't be here today. And I want you to think of the version of you that started on autopilot, that went through the cycle and transformed, and send them love. And as your present self today, I want you to thank them and say, thank you for getting me here safely, in your head. Now think of the version of you in the future that has already overcome this challenge that you've had in mind today. What do they look like? And what is the energy that they embody? Imagine that you are that version. And feel the emotions that come up embodying this energy. Do you feel joy? Maybe peace? Love? Now, as your present self today, tell your future self, thank you for getting me here safely. Now imagine yourself as that future version of you and say to your present self, thank you for getting me here safely. Signaling to the universe that you operate outside of linear time. Now send love to all versions of you in every timeline and tell them, I love every version of me unconditionally. Thank you, and I love you. Now come back to this present moment, to this body, with love and gratitude. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. And I'll see you on the other side.